Hey guys, so today we're talking about sus chords. You know, as worship guitarists, we all love our G sus chords. But seriously, if you've been feeling stuck with the same old triads and the same old chord shape, this lesson is really for you, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you sus chords that are really useful and can make your playing a lot more interesting without messing up the harmony of a song. We're going to look at how these sus chords can really shape shift, where the same shape can actually work in different spots in progressions, and it's pretty cool when you learn how to use this. And I'm going to show you why sometimes a sus chord can work better than a regular triad or just a power chord, and I'll also show you how to use them in worship songs. We're going to start with a basic triad, then we'll tweak it to get that sus sound, and trust me that this will add some nice variety to your rhythm guitar playing. So let's go ahead and dig in and get our hands dirty. So one of the main things that I like about sus chords is that they can add some color and movement to your playing without changing the overall harmony. And that's quite important, because if you go ahead and play a 7 flat 9 voicing, or a dominant 13, or a 7 sharp 9, or whatever the case may be, those voicings in jazz and in certain styles, fusion and whatnot, and even some gospel styles of playing, can work super well. But in modern worship, if you go ahead and play like a 7 sharp 9, you know, that's just not going to work in that setting. So that's going to be too spicy. It's not going to work, and it's going to kind of change the overall harmony, because it wasn't designed to be used in that way. When you are looking to spice up your playing, you don't want to be using those kind of jazzy voicings, but sus chords can add a lot of color and movement to your playing. Like if I play a G sus2 like this, or a G sus4, you know, those are nice and open sounds that goes and adds a lot of spice and variety to your playing without having to change the harmony that you are playing over. Now, in order to really understand that, you need to understand triads. And a triad is simply a 3-note chord. Like if I look at G like this, the notes are G, B, D, G, B, G. So there's 6 notes, but you're only hearing 3 notes, which is G, B, D, G, B, D. And G, B, and D is being played together like that for a triad. You have your root note, you have your third, and you have your fifths. This third, the note here on the G string in this instance, determines whether this is a major chord or whether it's a minor chord. So the third there, you definitely, if you want to play a major chord, you need to play the major third. If you play a minor chord, you need to play the minor third. But a sus2 is when I take that third note and I replace it with a second note in my scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for my octave. That's why it's an octave 8. But if I take the third, 1, 2, 3, and I replace it with a second, then it's going to go ahead and turn into a sus2 chord, and I can also replace the third with the fourth. Then that's going to go ahead and become a sus4 chord. Now, if you've ever played D like that, it's a D sus4, so I'm taking the note that makes us D major, and I'm replacing it with a fourth. And then if I go like this, that's a D sus2. So that's how sus chords work. You are suspending that third with either the second or the fourth. Now, I mentioned that these sus2 chords are kind of shape-shifting voicings. What does that mean? Well, one sus chord can actually function as different chords within a progression. So for example, this right here is a G sus2, because I've suspended my third with a second. But if you look at this voicing for a D major triad, that's my third. If I now put the third up to the fourth over a D chord, then it's the same notes. D sus4 and G sus2, they are the same notes. Now if I take my G triad and I take my third up to the fourth, that's a G sus4. But if you look at a C triad like this, there's my third. If I take it to the sus2, means G sus4 and C sus2, those are exactly the same notes. Let me go ahead and play a quick track for you where I'm going to do one thing. For the 1 chord and the 4 chord and the 5 chord, I'm going to play sus chords, different versions of them. And then on the repeat, I'm actually going to play the same shape for all 4 chords. And I'll talk to you about the shape shifting nature of these voicings right after this example. Here we go. Alright, so what you saw me play there is it was a 1, 4, 6, 5 progression in the key of G. So it's G, 4, C, 6 E minor, 5 D. But for 1 I played G sus2. Then for 4 I played C sus2. Then I just played an E5 of the E minor. And then for the D I played a sus4 going to a D triad. That makes some interesting sounds because now if I were to just play triads every time, it's going to have a certain sound to it, but if I introduce sus chords, it's going to sound different. Let me just demonstrate for you one more time where I'll play triads the first time, G major, C major, E minor, D major. You're going to hear it's going to sound fine, but it's the very obvious choice. If I then on the repeat, I'm going to change some of those voicings to suspended chords. It'll be G sus2, C sus2, E5, and D sus4 to D. Then you're going to hear that sounds a little bit more musical. And I'll do it for you in 2 different positions on the guitar. Let's go ahead and check it out right now. So you can hear when I just play triads, they sound fine, but they're the very obvious choice. By adding the sus chords, I'm adding a little bit more of ambiguity and intrigue to a degree for some of these chord shapes that actually just sounds a little bit better, and it's not so obvious as it relates to just simple triad voicings. Nothing wrong with those, but sometimes you want something else. Let me demonstrate that for you one more time, but further up on the neck. So I'm going to be playing G over here. Let's do this one here, G. Then I'm going to do C. Then I'm going to do E minor. Then I'm going to do D. But I'm going to do it as triads the first time. And then the second time I'm going to play G sus2. C sus2. Then I'm going to play E minor 7. Then I'm going to play D sus2. Have a listen to this. Triads the first time, then suspended chords. Alright, so as you can see, by changing the 1 chord, the 4 chord, or the 5 chord to some kind of a sus chord, it adds a different feel to your parts. Now, a word of advice, you don't have to do a different sus chord over every chord. You can just use them as you see fit. The main point here is just get used to using the sus chords and kind of getting the sound that they can give you, and then you can go ahead and use that where applicable. Now, earlier, I did something which is where I played the same shape over multiple chords. That's also cool because as the band is changing chords, I'm actually just playing the same shape over and over. Now, what that does is we won't be able to get into that theory over here, but go ahead and just experiment with it when you are playing the same shape over different chords. Because if I play this over here, That's a G sus2. But if I play those same notes over C, then it's almost a C sus2, but I've got the 6 added in there, so it's almost like a 6-9. Then when we went to E minor, then that's the minor third, it's a minor 7th, but it's kind of like a minor 11 when I add in, leave that on the A, and then when we go to the D, it's like a D sus4. So technically, and we'll cover this theory maybe in another lesson, but I'm playing G sus2, C 6-9, E minor 11, D sus4. Playing all those 4 fancy chords by just using the same shape over and over. Listen to this again. Also do that same thing a little bit higher up in the neck. Check this out. So hopefully you find that interesting where you can use the same shape over different chords. Like I said, when I played it like that, it was like G sus2, C 6-9, E minor 11, D sus4, which I resolved to a D. Now, here's a little cheat code for you. On the simple side, a G sus2, the 1 chord, is the same as a D sus4, the 5 chord. So 1 sus2 are exactly the same notes as 5 sus4. And then 1 sus4, G sus4 is exactly the same notes as C sus2. So 1 sus4 is the same as 4 sus2. You can go ahead and use those interchangeably. The main thing to know is that you can do a 1 sus2, a 4 sus2, and a 5 sus2. You can make all 4 of your major chords sus2 voicings, but sus4, they are more commonly found on just the 1 chord and the 5 chord, because if you play a sus4 over the 4 chord, then you are going to get F, in this instance C sus4, and that F is not in the key. So play a sus4 chord over your 1 chord and your 5 chord, and you can play a sus2 chord over the 1 chord, the 4 chord, as well as the 5 chord. So there are different approaches for you, and then experiment. When you are doing a 1-4-6-5 progression, well, kind of what I did now, try not changing those sus4 chords, or really only changing a note where absolutely necessary. When you can use these common tones across different chords, it definitely goes ahead and adds a different vibe to your playing. So go ahead and develop your sus chord skills with some targeted exercises and real-world examples by looking at the chords. Whenever you play a song and it says C2, well then it's C sus2. It might say C sus just by itself. See which one works the best, the sus2 or the sus4. Let your ear be the guide, and make sure you get some backing tracks where you have kind of extended opportunities to play over a track and see what the tracks are able to do for you. And if you want to get access to the track that I played over this video, go ahead and check out the link in the description. You can go ahead and get a downloadable chart that will show you exactly the cheat code between the shape shifting nature of these sus chords, and it will also give you that same backing track that you can then go ahead and use to practice. And I'll give you 3 backing tracks with different progressions in different keys, along with the shapes that you need to go ahead and do. You'll be able to find that in the download as well. So go ahead and check that in the description. So with that, that's the end of our lesson, looking at the shape shifting nature of these sus chords. They are super powerful chord voicings that can significantly enhance your worship guitar playing because of the nice open sound that it can go ahead and add to your playing. Have fun, and I'll see you in this video, which you can watch if you want to go ahead and improve your rhythm guitar playing. I'm going to go ahead and share 10 tips that you can use alongside these voicings to really level up your playing, because it's not just about what you play, but it's how you play it, and that's where your rhythm, your feel, and your phrasing comes in, and I cover that in this video. Have fun, guys, and I'll see you there.